So many things to teach about layers that haven't even been discussed before by anyone. What you're going to find out is you are both breathing your layers, which are your auric fields from each individual chakra, and your layers eventually are going to breathe you, because that's where your mind is. It's outside of you. Your brain is the computer unit to understand perception and your own thinking, the results of it, not someone else's thought. And you're finding now you're caught in the thoughts. Just mentioning politics, you take a side. You're coming through a process now where you're understanding the not need for political systems. It's in the uniqueness of yourself, the understanding of, you would call it survival, but it's movement forward day to day, accompanying your cells. That's the Issa 7 in the chakras. Your bodies are changing, literally, physically, not only with age. There's an interior process going on now that is refining yourself to a higher frequency, a light frequency, so you can accommodate more within the astral, which everyone talks about. But the body in the astral is more electrical. More electrical. You handle more electrical frequency, literally. And that's the importance of fluid, liquid water, because the electricity goes right through. And there's an education process if you understand it. Thinking in the manner is to receive, but you're receiving others' thoughts. To receive, you have to understand what it is to go beyond thinking. And then you'll find out there's a pebble that's dropped into the water, which is you. And the ripples are your saving grace, you say, but it's your enlightenment. It's something you figured out in yourself. It's an awareness. The same sort of awareness you had when you moved from crawling to walking. And knowing how I can do it. And knowing a movement. What you have going on now in your society is everyone's picking up the movement energies in their chakras, in their layers. And what some are doing is trying to influence their others by the layers. By the layers. Your layers are getting more sensitive for a reason. The warning flags are going up for a reason. The earth is moving, is changing, splitting. Your scientists are now saying this thing. They're worried of your country, Japan splitting in two, literally. In its news this morning. We've spoken before, you have 28, 30 volcanoes going off at once in your world. Mexico just went off today. Papacito, that one. You can't breathe that ash. It turns into cement in your lungs. Can't breathe it. You're going to need to have a damp towel or mask, wet, over your face. Why? Because your Yellowstone is acting. And you've had many tremors in northwestern Arizona here over the last 2 days. And you've got a volcano in Flagstaff, and one further. Your layers are picking this up. Your layers are picking this up. The probability of calming these volcanoes down now is none. You're going to have to be aware of the space that you are in. And you're going to have to pray to the Lord of the Wind to direct the ash over the ocean. That's the safest place for it right now. Yet you have to know how to talk to the Lord of the Wind. And you have to understand that that being exists. Because you beings, that's how you communicate. You think it's words, but it's the wind in you that puts the word out. You don't, right now you don't aware or not aware of your consciousness before you speak in the manner of witnessing a result. You're going to find the wind that's breathing you already knows the result. So you're going to have to align your 7 layers now. All 7 chakras. And that's why we say peace to all beings. Because there's a lot of judgment going on there in the chakras. Not only about yourself, but the circumstances and environment of others. Each chakra reacts differently. Each one. And you're in the process of learning how information is gathered by you interiorly for the understanding and presence of yourself in space, wherever you are. You're going to find out that space knows you're coming before you get there. That's one of the things you ask for when you go to a different place, permission to enter the space, because you're talking to the spiritual overseers there. You just have to think about it. You'll get an answer in the heart chakra. They know you're coming, and they tell others in the spiritual realms. You're going through a different process, I say again. You're going to find out that you're more than who you think you are. And you're also going to find out that you're less than you think you are. Because this new process is taking you right now through the fetal positions. That's why you're going back in time in your memories. Childhood things coming up, blah, blah, blah. For the nuances of understanding and wisdom. Because you're in the process, again, of figuring out how you got here. Where you came from. And what you're supposed to do. For the completion of your understanding of you. Which you will find out was purposely to begin to notify others of the understanding of the pleasure of life. In the physical incarnation. You're in that mode now. You see. And it's going to be required to understand what health means to the body. And I'm not talking about that part that hurts by the time you feel you're unhealthy, the pain. Something before that. Health of the body and health of the mind, where you have to release all old thought patterns and begin to think anew, differently. One of the ways to begin to think differently is to plant something. Because there becomes requirements there. A medium to grow it in, water, fluids, care, light, attention to it. At least a little bit of attention. And once you understand that process of planting, taking care of for the growth, you find out that's what you did to yourself. You planted a seed thought, and you're the result of it. Now you've got to connect to the being of you that had that seed thought, that conceptualized it. Because you didn't know how to look like you look now. It's in the seed thought. The being's called DNA. It's more than that. The seed thought's a vibrational frequency that comes from the area of what you term the planet Sirius, but it's beyond that, the black hole there. That's where your seed thought originates. It comes through the black hole to Sirius B as a messenger. And like your Pony Express and your Wild West delivering packages, they change horses because the horses get worn out. They can't go the whole distance. You get another horse at Sirius A. Consciousness adjustment things, as you do when you go to a different grade in school. You meet new people, you start shifting to be within it, the group. You come from Sirius A to the middle star of Orion, which is called the Jerusalem Command, actually, the headquarters of Christ's frequencies. And then you come to there, spread out through the other forces. Changing horses each time. So when you understand your body is a vehicle, it's literally a horse in this realm. You have a rider, and you also have a harness. Yes, the free will concept is the denial of that. There is free will. And the wisdom and the understanding is to obey the divine will, to figure out what it is. That's why you have a harness, to prevent you from over-capitulating yourself, because you get closer to the divine, you think you know more, and you try to react, but the harness is to keep you back. You're going to begin to, how do I say this thing? As you go to sleep, you sleep and you wander and you dream and you go for it, and then you come forth in the morning. Those layers are going to clear for you. You're going to see where you're going in before you dream. You're going to understand you already have an itinerary that you're going to go through, and upon waking for your next moment, day here, in the planning of it, there's things to do. The night itinerary is clearing consciousness and subconsciousness for you. You'll find yourselves cleaning yourselves, preparing a different level. You might even be cleaning steps to the temple. And that temple is yours. As nature comes forward to you, the steps are right between your legs. They go up. You're learning to understand nature, to work with it, her. The controlling of her you can't do. Because you can't stop the spinning of the planet, nor the tidal fluxes of her force in the ocean. But you're learning the tidal fluxes. You're 70, 80% water, 70, 60. That's who you really are. Water has weight. Water has weight. You're going to learn that the formation of your body and the interior, particularly, is formed by the fluidic portions of you, manifested continually, aligned with the thoughts of you. All the old thoughts, all the new thoughts, creating a presence to be in a presence. You're going to find out that the water within you isn't as clear as you thought it was. You're going to see it. It's not someone else. The thing is to be aware, do not panic, and understand the clearing of the water occurs with the clearing of the thoughts. And then the water becomes pristine. And your flesh changes. Because the skin itself is an entity that's breathing you. And breathing for you at times. Because you don't know how to do it when you're sleeping. You go into another phase of yourself. So what you're going through now is you're learning the 7 chakras. Everybody's heard of them. They're each like a drum. And they beat, or they are struck, touched, and they come out tonal. And each chakra has a note. It's in your books, what they are. And when you start contemplating the note, listening to it in music, whatever, there's a response in the chakra. Because before words, there was just music, harmony, tones, gathering together, producing, manifesting out of the tone. And then words became heard, but not necessarily interpreted correctly. And that's why you have different languages, and they explain the same thing, yet differently. The definitions are not quite the same. As you have different religions, different groupings of countries, different belief systems, each